Hi, I'm Sharifah Hardie, and I'm inviting you to tune in to my all-new show, In the Studio with Sharifah Hardie. You'll never know who's going to stop by the studio, who you're going to see, who you're going to meet, who I'm going to introduce, and I know a lot of people. So you definitely want to tune in to In the Studio with Sharifah Hardie on Saturday. Check out who you'll meet next, or if you're interested in being a guest, want to promote your business, visit the website at AskSharifah.com. Hi, it's Sharifah Hardie, and you are watching In the Studio. We have a very special guest today here. I am so excited. This is someone I just love. As I always say, you never know who's going to stop by in the studio. But before I get into the show, you know I have to thank our sponsors. This show is brought to you by supportmyblackbusiness.org.
Support My Black Business is a reliable GoFundMe-type crowdfunding platform specifically created for Black businesses. Our mission is to close the racial wealth gap by supporting Black-owned businesses and helping them grow. Through this powerful platform, Black business owners can create a campaign in just minutes and raise money. It is simple to launch and manage on the go, or participate in our mission to help us to create a better tomorrow by donating to our Black businesses. All donations go directly to making a difference for our cause. Your small support can change.
They was trying to keep a sister down. They didn't want us to support the Black businesses. That's why they didn't.
Support My Black Business is a reliable GoFundMe-type crowdfunding platform specifically created for Black businesses. Our mission is to close the racial wealth gap by supporting Black-owned businesses and help
on with the show. And I'm going to let you know who our guest is today. One of my very, very favorite people. She is a star in her own right. She was born a queen. I'll tell you that right now. You've seen this lovely young lady on Soul Train. Her new book, I Am My Sister's Keeper, is available on Amazon. And she is someone who is so interesting to me. She's interesting to other people as well, because she has her own reality TV show called Diva Glamons. Not to mention, she was married 10 times, and she is what I think the world needs right now. She is my big mama, and what the world needs more big mamas, Miss Queen Turner. Welcome, Queen. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Sharifah.
No, this is good for me. I'm excited, and one of the reasons I'm excited, like I said, I think we need more big mamas, people we can sit down and ask about the wisdom, what's going on in the world. So, what do you what would you say? Do you feel the world needs more big mamas?
Yeah, because the big mamas have definitely fell off. You know, we don't have the little words of wisdom anymore like we should, because we have mothers and grandmothers that are younger than what they used to be. So we don't get that spoon fed, you know.
Okay, but let me ask you, not to cut you off, but I don't want to go too far too fast. When you say the big mamas and the grandmothers are younger than what they used to be, I mean, but haven't women been having kids young since the beginning of time?
Yeah, but you have to understand that nowadays it's a progression of more younger mothers, which makes more younger grandmothers. Like my grandmother was in her 50s. When I became a grandmother, I was in my late 20s.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you was going to say my late 30s.
No, my late 20s.
Okay.
So it's like I had a grandmother that taught me, and and I was able to absorb it, even though I didn't understand a lot of it then. Mm-hmm. I tried it to be like my grandmother with my grandchildren, but it doesn't come off the same. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't quite come off the same. And because they're looking at some of their friends that have grandmothers that are older than I am, and they're looking like, my grandmother doesn't dress like their grandmother, so what does she know? That's basically how, I see it nowadays.
Do you think, so this all comes down to the way you dress? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I love what you have on. It's just, but it's not something a typical grandmother would wear.
True that. I've never dressed, according to what quote unquote, a grandmother is supposed to look like or dress like. I've always just been me, and that's what I've raised and taught my grandchildren about myself. I was a young mother and then a young grandmother. So it was like, I had a grandson when I got ready to get married the last time. He took me to the side and had this long talk with me about, well, you haven't been with a man in 20 years, and how do you know you want to get married again, and this, that, and the other. And I mean, he was talking to me like he was my father or grandfather. And I'm just like, I was in awe. I let him talk and tell me what he didn't think I should be doing. And then I told him, well, I didn't want you to have 2 kids before you finished college, but you did.
Mhm.
So why are you trying to ring my bell on what I'm doing? And I'm older than you are. So that's how my grandkids look at me, like I need to be, reprimanded and taught.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, but I think I need to be taught, because people say these days that you can't find a husband, you can't find a man. I know it's hard as heck for me to find a man. Like, I guess I shouldn't be looking. Maybe that's the problem. But you have been married 10 times.
Yeah.
What's that? Teach me.
Well, Sharifah, in all honesty, I wouldn't want to teach you that, because that's not a good.
I don't want a lot of husbands, I guess. Maybe I'm giving the wrong impression. But I'm saying, but people will say that you can't find a husband, but you've found plenty of husbands.
Yeah, but they weren't necessarily the right ones.
Okay.
So, they weren't necessarily the right ones. I just, for some reason, I've always looked like I was a Marion type to some.
What is the Marion type?
I have no idea.
Because my friend and I had the same conversation the other day, and he was telling her, because she was saying, this is a true story, because we in the studio, we talking, we keeping it real.
Okay.
But she was saying that she had this conversation where this guy told her that she was basically the Marion type, and that's not even what she wanted. She was like, why can't I be the type that has a one-night stand? Why can't I be the type that? So how can a man look at a woman, or maybe not just look at her, maybe when they get to know you and they go, you're the Marion type. What is the Marion type?
Well, usually the majority of the men that I married they liked my strongness. They like my takeover spirit, because I tend to have that, and I'm about my business, and that's what attracted them to me, but they weren't necessarily for me.
Okay.
So that's where the difference came in at. So no, I wouldn't want to teach you how to do that. Because
Can you help me find a man, Queen? Audience, somebody, can you help us sister out? Okay.
Hey, you probably better off like you are if you really want to know the truth. Yeah, you probably, hey, God knows what's best for us. Trust and believe better than we do. So you're probably better off.
Okay.
And like I said, and just wait for God to send it to you. You'll know when you find it.
Okay, or when he finds me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason I can ask these questions and you are so interested to me is because it's like we don't have enough time in the day to share all the stories and the experiences. But you've been in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
You've traveled around the world. You've known some of the, most famous people. For someone who is watching, who says, I want to be in this, they're a little girl, maybe 13, 14 years old, and they want to be in the entertainment business. They want to be a singer. They want to be on television. What would you tell them? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I would tell them that they have to really get to know themselves.
Okay.
That's for starters. Have confidence in themselves in order to be able to get out here in this cruel world.
You think this world is cruel?
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
I mean, people have no love for one another.
Okay.
I mean, if we wouldn't have so many homeless people
Okay.
if we had a love for one another.
Okay.
So, I would tell them to be confident within themselves. And if they want something, just go after it, just put forth an effort and do the work.
Okay. So I'm gonna go a little Hollywood and go a little, PR for a minute, because in the time that I've known you, I'm like, more people, the world has to like see you. And I see all these different people, reality stars, this person popping up, and I'm like, but why is it that Hollywood hasn't beaten the path to your door? Because I mean, Soul Train, really good friends with Don Cornelius. You even knew Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yes, yes. Well, I think it's just all timing.
Okay.
When I was out there in the industry, I was out there.
Okay.
And then I decided I didn't want to be in the industry anymore. So I came out, I went to college, I became a mortician. I worked in.
You're a mortician?
Yes.
Okay.
And I worked.
Okay, a mortician is with the dead bodies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't talk back.
Okay.
And
okay, maybe I need to become a mortician instead of politician. I'm sorry.
And so I just I did that for a while, but then I was drawn back into the industry when I decided that I was going to create Diva Glamours.
Okay.
I still do shows with Soul Train alumni. We still perform, and but I really came back into it when I developed my own show, Diva Glamours.
Okay.
It's about your modern day grandmothers who, look like me. They don't. They're not walking around in muumuus and sitting and knitting, but these are business women. They're all under the age of 70, and we're just trying to make a difference and show our kids that are grown and our grandkids that we still have a life. We haven't, we're not dead yet.
Mm-hmm. You're not sitting at home knitting.
No knitting.
You know how to knit?
No knitting and rocking. No, sure don't. No, by no means.
Now, I want to go back to the book that you have out, and I want to go back to the Big Mamas, because the book is several authors, about 14 of you in this book that's available on Amazon. I Am My Sister's Keeper. Do you really believe that I am, you are to be your sister's keeper?
Oh, very much so. Because I learned from a lot of older women, who called me their little sister. So they kept me, and now I've kept some, and those that I've kept are keeping some. So yeah, it's very mandatory, especially with women of color. We need to be able to reach out to one another, because I have autobiography coming out called Queen of the Crop. That means top of the line. And it's my journey. I had one husband that poisoned me, and I had to go to therapy and do be in mental health and all that kind of stuff, and I will suffer with it the rest of my life. But I've been able to reach out.
Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
You just said that whole sentence like just so. I had a husband. He tried to kill me, and then I went to the movies. Okay, hold on. Your husband tried to kill you?
Yes.
He was mad at you?
No, he had cancer, and the doctor said if it came back that he wouldn't survive. And he had always told me he was going to take me with him, and I was like, we weren't born together. What makes you think we got to die together? And besides, you're not dying. Just go to the doctor and keep yourself well. And but he thought it was back, and so he started putting poison in my food.
What kind of poison?
Rat poison.
He put rat poison in your food?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Sometimes I be like, I really want to be like, let's turn the camera off, because I want to ask questions and I want to make comments, but I don't want the audience to be like, she is crazy. But just forgive me. I need y'all to forgive me for this question, but I just have to ask. I know that was just wrong and evil, but at some point, did you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm bad? Like, did you like for somebody to want to not have you on this earth because they wasn't gonna be here? No, okay, don't answer that. I'm sorry. That was me. I be in the mirror like, he loved me. He loved me. Like,
well, the only thing is that's not love.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Forgive me for all the. I mean, but you know what I mean? Like, I like a little crazy though. I think that's why I'm by myself. A little crazy. You know what I mean? Not kill a person crazy. Let me make that disclaimer plain right now. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, he was just a little frantic and off. You know, like I said, some people have mental issues, and you know it doesn't manifest itself until
so you didn't see any warning signs prior to
no, like we have a child together. Because we have a child together, so I'm like, well, you know, if you kill us both, then who's going to take care of our child?
Right.
You know, so but yeah, it worked itself out. God is good. And I survived.
Yeah, and you're beautiful.
Thank you.
You're here and healthy, not just outside, but just your spirit. You always reaching back. You always helping people. Let's go back to the book. I Am My Sister's Keeper. So you're one of the authors in the book. What do you talk about without giving too much away in the book?
Well, just talking about just a quick synopsis of my book, Queen of the Crop, about, you know, some parts of my journey, you know, leaving home at 14 years old, being out on my own ever since, putting myself through college, raising. I gave birth to 4 kids and adopted one. So raising my 5 kids and, you know, and some grandkids. So just and how I've reached out and helped, you know, other women to get out of situations, abusive situations and stuff. So I think I've contributed, you know, somewhat to I Am My Sister's Keeper.
So back to the young starlets who want to come out to Hollywood. They got their little one-way pass, they one-way ticket from Kansas right now. They on their way to Hollywood. Do you feel that Hollywood, I just want to ask, because the spirit is moving me, that Hollywood is a safe place for a young lady?
No, by no means.
But we gonna come. Right. You know what I mean? This
Most
is what
definitely.
we do. What advice would you give them when you get here? Do this.
Well, I say don't stop downtown.
They need to hear that. They needed to hear that
at the bus terminal. That's for sure, because that's not a safe haven at all. Have a plan if you're coming. You know, don't just up and come. It's like when I came, I had already met Don Cornelius. Through Isaac Hayes. I had worked with Isaac Hayes. He was a mentor, and so I didn't come out here on blind faith. But those that are coming, you know, and don't know anyone, that's not, in this day and time especially, the climate is just not right for a young girl to come into California, especially on the bus. There's predators downtown waiting just to prey on them. And unless you got a strong constitution, it's not safe. So my thing is, do your research, find out where a young person, male or female, can go to be safe. If you're going to come to a city, know someone, get to know someone, reach out to a relative, you know, or a relative's friend, someone that, you know, you just don't have to be out here in the dark by yourself.
So you say have a strong constitution. You know, that has helped you in many instances. One of the things that you talk about is your experience with and how you met Heidi Fleiss.
Yeah. Yes, through a gentleman by the name of Yvonne Nog, who was the one that introduced me to Zsa Zsa Gabor, and how Zsa Zsa and I became friends. He was Hungarian, like Zsa Zsa. They were from the same town, and I watched Heidi Fleiss go from, you know, an innocent young lady into a madam. And that could have been me, and
You think so?
oh yeah, but by the grace of God, again, and my grandmother's prayers,
Yes. Big mama.
yeah, that kept me safe. But I know how people can pray. Like I said, I had my grandmother's wisdom, words of wisdom, and I studied people and I watched people. So it kept me out of the line of fire with predators.
Your grandmother's wisdom. I love that. I love that. So on Diva Glamours, do I know one of the things that you talk about is fashion and that you're not your typical grandmothers, but do you impart any of the wisdom that your grandmother imparted to you?
Yes, because that's what I know.
Okay.
That's what I know. That's what was drilled into me. So I share it. I don't keep it.
What is one of the things that your grandmother told you that you live by?
Well, she always says, it's so many of them. I'm just trying to think of one off the top of my head. She always said, a heap sees, but a few knows. In other words, a lot of people see, but they don't actually know. You know, but they don't actually know. So you have to take that and be able to maneuver through life without everybody being in your business. Because everybody can see, but they don't really know what's really going on.
I like that. When you were saying that, I was thinking about my life in general. Like, I'm a very reclusive person. I tell everybody like that. I'm a very, I don't like a whole lot of people in my business. So the people who are around me, because I talk a lot about everything. So the people who are around me, people who are close to me, they know. But a lot of people think they know about my life and how I live my life and what's going on in my life just based on what they see.
Right. And they don't really know.
Right.
That's why, that's why you can't assume. Because, when you assume, what happens. You make an ass out of you and me. So that was one thing that she taught me. So I always stuck by that.
No, but I think that I really truly believe that it takes a village. You know what I mean? It takes a village to raise a child. And one of the things that I see that's different in 2022 in this generation is, like, for me, when I was growing up, really literally until I was about 18 years old, we had aunts and uncles and my grandmother and cousins. We had always had homes full of people. And now it feels like this generation and, different generations, my parents' generation, more people are living by themselves. They're living alone. So we don't have that family unit where we share that wisdom, that share their lessons. You would go in the kitchen and Big Mama would cook, and that's how you learned all these different things.
Right.
How would you say, first of all, do you feel that there's a need for that now? And would you say, how do we get to that? How do we bring that back?
That's a good question, Sharifah, because nowadays families are not, they're not on the same page like it was when I was coming up. Like I said, the families got together, and like, I know who my cousins were. We interacted in the summer times, we interacted at family reunions. My older kids, they know some of their second cousins, but like my grandkids, they don't know a lot of them because families aren't interacting like they used to, because all the older ones are gone now. So everybody's so busy doing their own thing into their own life, they don't take the time to bring the families together. That's my cousin Ike Turner. He was big on family, and even though
this is Ike Turner, Ike and Tina
Turner, yes. Okay. Ike had his problems.
Eat the cake, Annie Mae?
Yeah, eat the cake, Annie Mae.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted. Go ahead.
Ike was a good man. He had his issues like everybody else, but he still loved his family.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was a thing, whereas if you needed him, he was there. That's why I don't let anybody talk about him, because see, if you don't know the good side of him, you're not going to talk about the bad side, and you really didn't know. You know, we're just going off a movie and a book, and that's it.
So you didn't find him? Okay, I was going to ask, you didn't find him to be that way. But before I even ask that question, I want to verbalize what some people may consider that way. Like just portrayed as a tyrant who was just always angry and mean and going off.
No, you know, drugs will change anyone's personality. You know, it will change anyone's personality, no matter how good, how bad, or how indifferent. It will alter. It will alter your personality, and people don't know that I really was not a drug user until he started hanging around, you know, the white boys out there in the industry. You know, should I say names?
That's up to you. I'm listening.
Some of the big, you know, the big bands, you know, they were the ones that introduced him to the drugs. And because he was a little country boy, all he wanted to do was play his music.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it doesn't work. Drugs does not work the same on everyone. You know, like I said, my dad never drank. I never saw my dad take a drink in his life, and he didn't. And then I have, like I said, I have a cousin and cousins who are alcoholics and drug addicts. So it's, you know, it's just one of those things, whereas it affects people differently. People manifest things differently. And he wasn't, of course, movies, you know, they blow stuff up and to make it more than what it is, so people will come and see it. So it wasn't as bad. You know, I'm not saying he did everything right. I'm not saying Tina was wrong, but like I said, you cannot go off of a movie and judge a person.
But that wasn't your experience of him.
No.
But I kind of get what you're saying, because it's been experienced in my life that people will say, oh, Sharifah, you just mean, you just angry, you just aggressive. And they don't like that. But then let something happen. They like, Sharifah, can you come handle this? I'm like, no, I'm mean, I'm aggressive, I'm angry. Well, you can't use my superpowers for your benefit when it benefits you.
I have the same problem. You know, I let people know my last name is Turner, and I am not to be messed with. You'd rather tickle a lion in the butt with a feather, slide down a razor blade in a pool of alcohol, than to mess with me. Because see, I don't care nothing about getting my butt whooped, but you gonna know you've been in that fight. Trust and believe. I'm leaving a mark, okay? So, you know, I just, you know, everybody's like, oh. But see, being a young girl out here on her own, I had to stand my ground.
Right.
I had to stand my ground.
Okay, so again, without naming all the names and everything like that, let's go back to your Hollywood days, because these stories are so interesting to me. These are stories that your grandkids will be able to listen to years and years after you're gone. But did you have any of those instances in Hollywood where you had to stand up for yourself, being a woman, being a Black woman in Hollywood, that stand out to you?
Yes. I mean, it's just like Soul Train and it, you know.
How was it being a Soul Train dancer? Did you have to stand up for yourself? Did you have to, you know, fight for your spot? What was going on?
Not so much that. It's just that people wanted to put things out about you. Again, like I said, they think they know, but they really don't. You know, and you know, and then people hold meetings on you to see if you're qualified for this, that, or the other.
Be a Soul Train dancer?
No, to, you know, like they
I
had,
didn't know the qualifications.
like they had a group, the Soul Train singers, and they wanted to, you know, they knew I could sing, and I had a meeting with Dick Griffey and Don Cornelius, and they were asking me about certain things about my life, and because that's something they had heard, so I had to correct them on it and tell them, you can't ask anybody else about my life. Only I can tell you about my life. You listening to somebody else who really don't know my life, I was very highly offended behind that.
But where did you find the courage to speak your mind and say that? I mean, because these are executives. This could literally be your job in Hollywood.
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm not to be bullied.
Okay.
I hate a bully.
Okay.
I despise a bully. And I just, because if you back me into a corner,
The nails.
if you back me into that corner, I raise boa constrictors and alligators for a living. And
In between being a mortician.
Yeah. When my kids grew up with snakes and alligators in their life. If you back them into a corner, you're gonna get bit.
Right.
It's as simple as that. So that's how I am. If I didn't send for you, don't you come for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
I'm trying to figure out because everybody's like, you just want the dirt. No, I don't. This is Soul Train. This is an iconic show. I don't care what anybody says. They don't have shows, especially shows like this for us anymore. How was it to be on the show? What did you enjoy the most? Did you get to work the scramble board?
Oh yeah. There's a clip of me on YouTube doing the Scrabble board, and it was a very interesting part of my life because I met people that I'm still friends with to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I came on in 1973, and we're still close, and we still have events and functions. One of my Soul Train, we call each other Soul Train brothers and sisters. He has gatherings like every 3 months, and we all get together, themed events. Charles Washington get together, have themed events, and we get to socialize with one another because everybody's living their own life.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can all come together, we do, because we try to do that, and not just at funerals when people die, so when one of us dies. So we try to keep in touch and get to associate as often as possible.
What are we going to see on Diva Glamours?
Well, Diva Glamours, like I said, you have some glamours who, like everything else in life, they can be a thorn in your side.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own ideas about.
I'm just dying to ask the thorns, but you got to watch the show to figure out your own thorn.
You have some of them that think they're just the cat's meow,
Mm-hmm.
and so I try to pick different personalities. So, because everybody's not going to get along anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted I have a Southern diva.
Mm-hmm.
She's from New Orleans, and she has that New Orleans drawl. So
that's Renette.
Yeah, Renette.
Okay.
So when she gets mad, it's like the whole lingo is totally something different,
Right. But one of the things I love about Southern that's interesting to me is that Southern is a true reality star, because she's somebody that just speaks her mind.
Yes.
But she has a huge following. Especially where was she? Louisiana or somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you think you're talking to someone who's just like an average Jane.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you look around, it's like, where all these people come from, because they come out to support her, whatever it is. I saw her, and the reason I'm saying that is I saw her at the parade this year, and it was just amazing to just see her and just to be a part of that arena.
Yeah. And then I have my classic diva, which is my business partner, Elizabeth. Yes. Elizabeth is from the Cape Verde Islands.
Yes.
She was raised in Senegal, and then her family migrated to Massachusetts. So she has a Portuguese, Senegalese Massachusetts accent that's very strong.
Yeah.
And
but she has a beautiful business mind. The one
Yes,
thing I love about
yes.
Elizabeth is that every 5 minutes she creates a new business.
Right.
How does you got a store over here? So talk about a little bit about your store.
Yeah, it's called Front Page Fashions One, home of the Diva Glam Moms.
Okay.
And we have women clothing, and now we're selling mopeds and motorbikes.
Right.
And
mopeds, so you can go there, get your little outfit, jump on your moped, and go on with your big
go. Yeah, only Liz could think of that. Trust and believe. And Front Page Fashions One, home of the Diva Glam Moms. So and we help mothers and that's going back to school or back to work. We'll supply an outfit if they can't afford one to go on a job interview to help them out. We do back to school book bags for kids. And so and Liz also has a daycare and foster care. So she only had 4 kids of her own, but she's fostered. She's fostered way more than she gave birth to.
I only had 2. And after 2, that's enough. I got him, I got her, I can't. I got it.
She's a jack of all trades, a master of many.
Yes.
So I give her credit where credit is due. And like I said, she brought me aboard, and but I tell her, Liz, I can't work at the speed that you do. I can't. I've been running since I was 14 years old. I'm tired. Yeah. So, but and then I have Baby Diva, Bodacious Diva. So it's
Baby is funny.
Yeah,
I like Baby.
Yeah, Baby is.
She always just hilarious to me. She gives a lot of attention. She's just always out there. Yeah.
She, like I said, they all have their own personalities and their own mindsets. Hey, you never know. It's like a box of chocolate. You never know which one you might get, because they can go off at any given time.
But what's interesting to me, what I enjoy watching with all of the divas, they go off. And this I have never seen. So this is something I'm learning from the big mamas, is that they'll go off and they'll have these little arguments, and you're like, oh my God, like she just went off on her. And you know what I mean? They had this horrible scene, and we're never going to see, they're never going to speak again. And then like 2 days later, you come back and they sitting at the table kiki, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what world is this? Yeah. How do you do that? How do you bring and keep all these personalities? Because this one was mad at that one yesterday, and that one will be mad at that one tomorrow. Yeah. So how do you just stay the queen?
Well, I'm the grand diva, so I just bring them all together like boss lady diva. Mm-hmm. She thinks she is the boss of me, right. And I have to always bring her down a notch. You're not the boss of me, little girl. I've got shoes and drawers older than you are. Okay, don't play. And because I think she's about the same age as my oldest child. Mm-hmm. She's like 53, 54, somewhere in there. So she just, she thinks that because we call her boss lady, that she's the boss. And I have to break her down like a double barrel shotgun every time. Every time.
But how do you break her? Like, this is a real question. How do you break her down and still build up other people and build her up and make it where it's a positive experience for not only all of you, but the people watching, the people who are watching Big Mamas?
Well, it's just like I tell her, until you walked in my shoes and covered the ground and traveled the world like I have, this is not a competition, because I'm going to always win. He who has done the most wins.
That's not like something you just made up, but I like it. No, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use that tomorrow. He who has the most wins.
He who has done the most.
Has done the most. I got it wrong. Got to write this down. Yeah. Make some notes. Somebody take some notes for me. He who has done the most wins.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've done a lot. I've traveled a lot.
Okay, well, you winning.
Not, hey, let me bow down to the queen. But let me just ask you something. This, I just love this, to be able to just sit down. And this is why I want everybody to see my world, because not everybody can pick up the phone and make a phone call and ask all these different questions. But again, let's get back to me and this whole dating scene. This dating scene these days is completely crazy.
It sucks.
Okay? Like the craziness that I found out here, I was like, oh my God, you crazy. And the people don't even know that they crazy. But I have this friend who's always like, well, we got to go out. You got to go out. You got to go out. You never meet anybody if you don't go out. So I said, okay, I'll go out. So I went out, and then I'm sitting at the table, and she tells me, she was like, well, you can't just sit here. You got to go network. You got to go mingle. And I told her, I said, the queen does not leave her throne. And she was like, then she walked away and started mingling. Now I'm sitting at a table by myself. There are 2 empty tables like around me. And this guy walks up to me. He sits down to me and he says, you are a wife. And I knew what he was saying, but some people feel like you got to go out and do all these different things. What would you say to those women? Because we go back to the Diva Glamorous. How do you be a queen is the question.
Well, it's the way you carry yourself. It's the attitude you have about yourself. Okay. That's number one. Okay. You've got to feel the part in order to be able to act the part. If you don't feel like something, then how can you act it? You know? And so you're never gonna find the right person just going out and just mingling, because what's out there now, it's horrible. You know. Is there hope? There is hope. There is hope, but see, please, Lord, you got to do a lot of you have to do a lot of praying, because see, what you don't want to do is be thirsty. Yeah, be thirsty and get with the wrong one, like such as I have through several of mine, and because it was just, marriage was really never that sacred to me. It was just something to do. Wow. And because I had children, I wouldn't live with a man unless I was married to a man, which that wasn't such a good idea either. But I didn't want to date and see my kids see me dating. I wanted my daughters to know that a man will marry you and will help you take care of your children. And my whole thing was, they treated my kids better than they treated me, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. You know, my children always came first. You know, if I got seconds, that was fine. But like I said, it was just, I married one guy on a dare because he was a twin, and his brother had been with. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Do not do that. I just want to be clear. Don't do that. It's okay. What happened? It's not cute. He was in Vegas. No. My husband was a twin, and his twin had been with his girlfriend since junior high. Okay. And the twins were living together, and the girlfriend to the other twin was living together. And she told me one day, she says, he'll never marry you, because at the time I had 3 children. He'll never marry you. You have kids. I said, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you think so. And about a month later, I was calling her, asking her, are you available Saturday to come look at some dresses? I want to take you girls out to the bridal store. And she was like, huh? I said, I want you girls to come help pick out your gowns for the wedding. She almost died. Wow. I mean, you could have bought it for 2 cents. So how did you get him to marry you then? Well, he wanted to marry me just as well as I wanted to marry him. And so we just got married. Okay, that was a bad question. But the reason I say that is, why did she think that he would never marry you then? I mean, well, maybe from what he said in the past about he wouldn't marry a woman with kids or whatever. Okay. But see, he had never met me. Woo! He had never met me. Okay. See, like, oh, I love that. That's how you get a man. I told you she was gonna teach me. I was gonna learn. My never met me. My last husband. You don't use that right. My last husband we've been knowing each other since we were knee high to a duck.
Okay.
So we're like brothers and sisters. We get along fine.
Mhm.
You know, he was living back east at one time. I was living here because he didn't like California, and I would go back and check on him and see about it, and then come on back here to California and live my life. And everybody's like, "You're not gonna date?" I said, "Well, I am still married. No, I'm not. I don't do that. That's something I never did, was mess around on a husband. If they mess around, that was their business. They had to deal with God on that." So
let's get back to this dare though, because who dared who? Because I missed, maybe I, got distracted, but who dared who?
The girl dared.
Yes, the daughter, the girlfriend to the twin brother.
Okay.
She had said that he wouldn't marry me because I had kids.
Right.
But see, she thought because she was with his twin, she knew him as well as she did his twin, but she didn't.
She didn't know your man. She only knew her man.
Right, exactly. Just because they twins did not mean
they're not the same person.
They're not the same person, but I could have took her man too.
That's a whole nother show, and we got that kind of time in the day. That's how you get a man, when you know.
Yeah.
But don't do that, ladies. We're not promoting that. We're not saying you should do that. We're just saying you can, if you can.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I could have had him too, but that's not how I operate. That's not my, my MO.
Okay.
Right.
So then, how long did this dare last?
Well, I think we stayed married 2 years.
That's my magic number too. I've been divorced twice, and each time I get to that 2 year mark. Some people have the 7 year itch. At 2 years, I'm like, nah, I can't.
Yeah, I think we stayed married 2 years, and he wanted a baby, and I wasn't. I didn't think I could have any more kids because I'd had some health issues. But come to find out, he was the one that wasn't producing. So I didn't want any kids anyway, because I was in and out of town, going back and forth, living in one country, coming back to this country and stuff. So it was like
fabulous life.
It's well, I had a contract I had to fulfill. So so that's why that didn't work.
Do you want to go back to that life? I'm just all in your stories. This one I get excited. But like now, if you got the contract and they say we need you everywhere, like did you truly enjoy that life? Some people do, and some people it's like living out a suitcase.
Yes, I did. I miss my children because I miss a lot of their growing up, because them having nannies and babysitters, that got kind of rough, because I would just see my kids on holidays. Be home for a week or two, and then I'm off again. But they had to eat. My kids didn't want for nothing, and they, they kind of hold it against me because I wasn't around all the time. But I tell them, social services never knocked on the door and said, "Hey, y'all pack your bags, you gotta go." I said, "You guys were well taken care of, well loved, and well provided for." So, you still grew up better than a lot of their friends did.
And they had to have enjoyed this fabulous life they must have met celebrities as well.
Yeah, they did. And I remember coming in from overseas, I bought my girls diamond earrings, and they had full length fur coats.
Oh wow.
And they went to school, and my daughter gave her diamond earrings to her friend. And I'm like, "Tracy, you can't give." She said, "Well, she didn't have any and she's poor." I said, "Baby, you poor." I said, "You just have a mother out here working like a Hebrew slave." But you're poor. I said, "I just, I'd like to provide you the luxuries." And the teacher told me when that happened, the teacher said, "Miss Turner, I need to have a talk with you." She says, "They can't wear these fur coats to school because the other kids don't understand this.
Mhm.
And she said, I caught one of the little kids just picking at the fur. And I was so terrified that he was going to pull a patch of it out. So, I mean, it's like six in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Right.
You know, you try to do right, but you know, you're making the situation worse than better. So,
Right.
but anyway, they didn't want for anything, that's for sure.
That is so beautiful. Now, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today.
She's always putting me on the spot. Well, I want everyone out there to know you can do and be whatever you want to be. It's not always easy, and you got to do the work, and you got to have patience, because especially if you're getting into the entertainment business, it's patience and endurance, and it's knowing, again, how to carry yourself. If you carry yourself in the proper way, people will respect you. I have a lot of Hollywood friends that do respect me, and I have nowhere near the money that they have, but I've earned their respect and their trust. So that's my gift to you, to be able to suffice and endure whatever it is, because God sits high, but he looks low. And know that you cannot do anything without God and his son, Christ Jesus. Those are your two people that you have to rely on, because without them, we all are nothing.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I want to go ahead and thank you for tuning in. And now, if you're interested in more information, advertising, or being a guest, visit the website at AskSharifah.com. We working out some of these technical difficulties right
You
now.
want to advertise your product or business? Are you fed up with conventional marketing techniques? Don't worry, Sharifah Hardie brings you the ultimate solution to promote your product on her exclusive show, In the Studio. Attract a wider and different audience of business owners and entrepreneurs. Just imagine, your product is being displayed live and archived for even more exposure.